Here's a conversation reflecting on Chapter 17, A Framework for a Connected Future.
We're jumping straight into the deep end today. We're looking at Chapter 17 of the text, The Lens That Changes Everything.
Yeah, and it's a big one.
It really is. The argument is that solving our biggest challenges, societal, personal, it doesn't require new tech or some complex policy.
It requires a shift in perspective.
A radical shift. And our mission here is to really unpack that core claim. That lasting change only begins when connection is the starting point, fundamentally.
It makes me think of that old Proust quote, the real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes.
That's perfect for this.
And this chapter suggests that trying to fix problems in isolation like burnout over here or political polarization over there is always going to fail. Because the fragmentation itself, that's the real upstream problem.
Okay, so let's dig into that fragmentation. The text calls it the inherited lens, right?
That's the term. The idea that historically civilization just organized itself around control, extraction, and hierarchy.
And the outcomes from that are, they're pretty predictable when you lay it out like that.
Completely.
You end up with separation between people, a real disconnection from our own bodies, and creativity gets turned into a commodity.
And that's where that upstream versus downstream distinction is so fascinating. The text is basically saying that the loneliness, the burnout, all this conflict.
These aren't just random accidents.
They're not accidents.
Okay.
They follow naturally from that original fragmented lens.
Yeah.
So when you shift it, when connection is treated as primary, not performance or identity,
then what emerges isn't some perfect blueprint for the future. It's just
what surfaces when you remove the force.
Okay, but that raises a huge question, and I'm sure listeners are thinking this too. Isn't this just another form of self-optimization? Find your coherence, another box to check.
That's the danger, and it's a great question. But the framework is really clear that it's defined by what it doesn't require.
And that would be conformity.
Exactly. It says coherence isn't something you chase. It just emerges when the pressure eases and your attention can widen. It's like realizing the whole team is struggling, not just your spreadsheet.
And the text says this changes how we see creativity, too.
It stops being this obligation, this identity you have to perform, or, God forbid, monetize. That pressure vanishes. It becomes, and I love this phrase, a natural trace of meaning moving outward.
I like that. Even our physical life sort of re-enters the picture without being another project.
Yes. We stop treating the body like a machine we have to master or optimize.
So these patterns, coherence, creativity, physical life, they're not steps to follow.
Not at all. They influence each other just by being near each other. They form a field of interaction.
So what breaks that field? What erodes it?
Yeah. The writer's very explicit here. It's the reintroduction of control. And here's the insidious part. It usually comes back disguised as something positive.
Like care or belonging.
Or even improvement. It's that subtle temptation to start managing the connection, and that's the very thing that kills it.
So at the end of the day, what's the takeaway? It sounds like the path forward isn't about finding a brilliant new answer.
No, it's about achieving clarity. It's about removing force and just seeing accurately.
Right. And recognizing that individual clarity alone isn't enough. It can't compensate for, say, total bodily disconnection. The parts have to cohere.
And that leaves us with one final and I think pretty provocative thought from the chapter.
Yep.
The framework it describes is left intentionally incomplete.
On purpose. Why?
Because to complete it would mean someone has to claim authority over meaning. And this whole approach resists owning connection itself. So it leaves us with a question.
Yeah.
If the solution is supposed to be unfinished, if it requires this kind of shared vulnerability, what does that mean for how you, as you observe the world, see things today?
Thanks for listening. Before moving on, take a pause and read the next chapter. The conversation for that chapter will be waiting here when you're ready.